Do you have a legal responsibility to secure your firearm?
The answer to that is yes. I'm Tim Harvey. I'm a licensed attorney in the state of Florida, a retired law enforcement officer. I'm here with my friend Joe, who's a firearms instructor, retired law enforcement officer. We get questions all the time about what are my responsibilities. Today, just want to talk to you briefly. This is a Florida law issue or Florida law question I can answer on whether or not we're required as firearms owners to secure our firearms. Now, this is January 2020. Just this week we had a situation where a child was left in the car with his father's firearm. Child got a hold of the firearm and ended up discharging the firearm and injuring himself. This brings up that question, do I have a legal responsibility? And the answer is yes. If you own a firearm in Florida, you are required to secure it so that it is not immediately accessible to minors, and that's anybody under the age of 18. If so, if there is a reason to believe that that minor is going to be near that weapon or have access to that firearm. In this case, the child was in the car with a firearm. It was not properly secured, as evidenced by the child being able to pull it out and discharge it. So you do have a legal requirement. Failure to properly secure your firearm is a misdemeanor in Florida. So you can be arrested. As the potential for injury goes up, the level of charge goes up. So if someone is hurt or killed because of your failure to do what you're legally required to do, you can face manslaughter or culpable negligence charges. So.
This is great for all those people who leave guns in their car all the time. I mean, again, I'm against that. It's not. I come from an area where they're going to break into your car, so you just got used to it. So they're going to break in and get to it, and I always say, God forbid a kid gets a hold of that gun and hurts themselves or whatever, uses that gun against somebody in a crime, whatever it's going to be.
You do have some protections there. While you are required to secure your firearm from any place that a child is likely to get a hold of it, you are exempt, or it does not apply to you, this law does not apply to you, if somebody through illegal means, forcible entry, burglary, breaks into your car or home and steals your firearm, and then that child gains access to it. Even if it's the child that does the breaking and entering. If they're doing something illegal, then you are kind of off the hook, because that illegal act is the cause of them getting a hold of the firearm, not your leaving it, in your vehicle. That being said, if you have grandkids, nieces, nephews, neighbors, that come over to your house, you got your son brings kids over to play Xbox, whatever. Make sure your firearms are secured so they can't get access to them. Kids are curious by nature, that's how they learn. We want to make sure that if they're going to learn about firearms, it's in a proper training environment. Not, hey, my dad's, at work, let's go look at his gun collection. Yeah. So properly secure your firearms in a lockbox, in a safe, using a gun lock to keep them from being loaded.
I mean, like when you buy a new gun, they're required to come with a lock.
Every single brand new firearm purchase is required to have some sort of a security lock to keep the firearm from being accessed or used by children.
Yeah, it's not designed to keep it from being stolen. It's a cheap little bicycle lock, most of them. Now, some of the companies have more elaborate ones. Use them, they're there for a reason.
Worst case scenario, a child gets a hold of your gun and dies.
Which has happened recently.
Yeah, which has happened recently. You are responsible for that firearm. If someone gets a hold of it, you can be held criminally liable, and not just criminally, civilly liable. So you can go to jail. After you go to jail, you can get sued, and you get out of jail and you have nothing left because they've garnished your wages, they've taken all of your property, everything that's not exempt from being taken. So,
I mean, another thing I've done in the past too, when I didn't have access to a way to really secure it with a lock or something like that, I disassembled it. I took it apart and put it in different places. Young kids aren't going to be able to find it all, put the puzzle back together.
Absolutely. There are a number of organizations out there that will provide you with a lock if you've lost your firearm lock. If you buy a used gun from somebody that doesn't have one, you can reach out to many agencies. All the law enforcement agencies in the state of Florida have access to these locks that they can provide you so that you can secure that firearm. Most gun stores have them. If you come to the gun shop,
we
they
have
can
them back
provide
there.
you with a lock if you've lost yours. They're not meant to keep people from stealing the firearm. They're meant to keep children from loading the firearms or using the firearms.
and that is your legal responsibility under Florida law. So if you have any questions about Florida gun law, reach me on my webpage at www.tharveylaw.com or at the office, 941-552-7884.
Tim, thanks again for all that great advice. Folks, if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Send us an email. Do whatever you got to do. If you want us to answer another question, do the same thing, and we'll answer them for you. Have a great day.
Thank you, and be safe.